Okay, so welcome everyone to our study abroad podcast series. So today we have Dipranjan Chatterjee, who did his PhD from Paris and then now is doing postdoc from University of Oxford. So we'll be knowing about his journey from the time of decision making to now in the set of few questions. So welcome Dipranjan to our study abroad podcast.
Thanks, Mr. Vishal. Thanks for inviting me. I'd love to share my experience. I hope that it will be helpful for others.
Yeah, sure. So we have some set of questions and then we'll open discussions from there. So
Perfect.
Dipranjan, I checked your LinkedIn profile and we saw that you are from hailing out from Kolkata and then you did like masters from University of Karnataka and then you went to Paris for your PhD. So could you throw some light on how the decision making of this study abroad happened in your life?
Yes, so as I have done my bachelor's with physics honors from University of Calcutta, there are few exams for masters. I think that people should know about it. There are exams like CUSET, JAM. It's called Joint Entrance Admission for MSc, and these are for entering into central universities, IITs, and NITs for masters. So I got into Central University of Karnataka through the CUSET exam, which is for the Central University exam. It happens every year. There are almost, I think now, 8 to 10 central universities all over India. There are almost about 35 seats in every central university. So this is a really good exam. It has, like, people can go to online and see the syllabus. Basically, it covers the bachelor syllabus of physics honors. And when went to Central University of Karnataka, I was very fortunate to came across a lot of researchers who are really world class, and they somehow portrayed the area of research in front of us. I got motivated by them. I have done quite a few winter internship and summer internship to see how the research feels like, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to do a PhD. At the last semester of my masters, I have done one really good project from NISER. It's National Institute of Science, Education, and Research, and it was on spintronics, so it's a new branch of physics. And after doing my project, I applied abroad to do the PhD, and I have got few positions in Germany, Netherlands, and France, but I chose to come to the University of Paris Saclay, where I have finished my PhD.
Sure. So when you are deciding about these colleges and you decided about going for the research, you applied to few colleges like you already mentioned. What were the documents that were needed for your PhD application?
So if you are really so if you wanted to do a PhD in India, probably people know that you have to give NET or GATE, or you have to have DST Inspire Fellowship. So you got DST Inspire Fellowship. You can do it in any lab all over India. You have to clear the interview, or you go by NET and GATE. I have NET and GATE both, but I decided that I will go outside. It is just my personal choice. And when I was applying outside, one of the most important thing you should have, if you really want to target Europe, is a good project at the last test. You should have some research experience. Okay. So for me, it was on magnetism. So I chose the magnetism groups, really good magnetism group all over Europe. Your supervisors in masters can help you if you ask them. Even someone who is listening to your broadcast, if they are from condensed matter physics or astrophysics or such physics branches, I can tell them, if they contact me, I can tell them to contact which people for best advices for their field if they want to. Um, but then you need to have a very solid project. That's the main goal in masters. You apply to those because there will be two types of applications. One, there will be published advertisement, which is where they will specify the criteria that you need to have this experience wise. and you apply to those, or you can apply directly to a professor in a university and together write a project for funding, because I think funding is a very important issue when you are coming to Europe. So if there is a published project, that means that they already have a funding. They're looking for the perfect guy. You don't need to write the proposal. If you are writing directly to a professor, then you have to write a proposal. So there will be two types of things. There are a lot of websites like Find a PhD, European Magnetism Association, EMA, or Euraccess. So this, if you go to these websites, you will find positions, PhD positions advertised. So these are easier. So you need to write a motivational letter why you want to do a PhD. You have to have a very good CV. I strongly recommend you should make this CV in overleaf, in latex format, because they like to see that. Then you need your master's results, of course. Don't try to emphasize on your institution. Like, your weightage on institution really doesn't work outside India. So if you are saying, oh, I am from IIT Guwahati, they don't know where is IIT Guwahati. Try to emphasize on your skill set. Like, I have this skill set. I have published in this journal, or I know these techniques. So this is somehow, there should, like in their motivational letter, this should be the important focus, rather than which exams they cracked, or what is the percentage of the score. Of course that matters, that if you score really good percentage, just put the percentage, that's all. But don't emphasize too much on your institution, rather emphasize on your skill, and try to make a motivation, try to write it on your own. Don't use chat gpt, because somehow chat gpt things are really, we can see that these are written in chat gpt, to be honest. So try to write on your own. Of course you can use chat gpt to modify it, but in a better way. But try to write on your own, and um, then I think they can ask also for your ideas, like what are you thinking. Then you have to go through their papers, like where you are applying, you have to go through their research for like 1 or 2 year, past 1 or 2 year. You see in which fields they are working on. Try to think about those projects, try to at least give them an approach. They don't want a solution, they just want to know how you think about research. Okay. So this is how you apply. Then you will get shortlisted for 1, 2, or 3 interviews, depending on the level. And once you clear those interviews, they take sometimes like 1 month, and then they will let you know.
So, do you have to also write IELTS, TOEFL, etc. for your PhD application?
If you are applying in non-English speaking countries like France, Spain, Germany, and I really want to emphasize 3 countries here: Switzerland, sorry, 4: Switzerland, Netherlands, Germany, France. These 4 countries have, I think, the best PhD setup all over Europe. I will say it that more than better than UK. Of course, UK universities are very good, like Cambridge, Oxford, and all other universities are really good. But when you are talking about a very constructed PhD, where you have a good economic support, I think if you're coming from India, that is one of the things you always think about, that you don't want to overburden your parents too much. So you should have a good economic support. There should be a good balance between personal life and work. And these sort of things are well taken care of in these countries: Switzerland, France, Germany, and Netherlands. Your economically, you will be good. You will have a very nice salary. So you can, and also you will be promoted in various opportunities. It's not only your PhD. You are not working 20 hours a day in a lab. So it will be your work, it will be your skill growth. So they will promote you into things which will increase your skill set. And I will tell you about this later as we go on about the discussion. But it's a overall, it's not about getting a Nobel Prize. It's about constructing a course, a structure that will make you a better researcher, and also with multiple skill sets, so that you can decide that what you want to become. You want to become a professor, you want to become a scientist, you want to become an R&D expert, or a teacher. You can choose after your PhD. So that's why I promote these four countries. And if you are applying to these things, you don't need a TOEFL score. You just need a very solid project, very good background in your physics, strong physics background, because those interviews can be very hard to crack because they'll be very thorough with you. And and also you have to be very much motivated. So but of course, if you have a TOEFL score, you will have good opportunities in Japan, in UK, in US, of course, and also GRE in US. These are very standardized. But even
Sure.
without these exams, you have a very good opportunities. So try to
So
focus on the project.
for your application, you directly approached the professor, and did you still have to apply to the university website, or that process was completely skipped and directly professor offered you and everything was done like that?
So I have done multiple applications outside because I didn't know that where I will put position. So it depends where are you applying. So for France, and if you are applying to an advertised position from India, you don't need to, you will follow the instructions after the interview. So for the interview process, you just write to your professors, they will take your interview. Then you have to give two to three interviews because there are two ways of selecting. One, like I have an ANR fellowship. So ANR fellowship is a different fellowship. But if you have a university fellowship, it's called doctoral school fellowship. I also applied in Sorbonne University for doctoral school fellowship and I got it. So for the doctoral school fellowship, you have to give three interviews. And I have given all of them. One of the interviews will be with the university doctoral team. So in that cases, you have to send some documents, but all these processes will be guided by the professor himself. So you don't need to think much. You just follow the instructions. But the main part will be just sending an email and with motivation letter, CV for sure, and other documents to the professor, and it will be mentioned in the advertisement itself. So you don't need to think about the university procedures and all. They'll be very helpful.
Sure, sure. So once you got the offer, etc., so I believe you got full scholarship and no tuition fee that you have to pay, and then also probably some stipend that takes care of you completely, probably so with some saving. Is that correct understanding?
Yes, yes. So that's the thing. I think if you are coming to Europe, there are fellowships like Marie Curie Fellowship, which really pays you quite a lot. But in this sort of Marie Curie Fellowship, you have to travel all over Europe, like in various labs. So if somehow people like it, some people dislike it because some people like to work on a certain lab, certain environment. Some people like to travel. I have ANR fellowship, and it's a French fellowship, and it's completely covers my salary and my research. And I come from an experimental background, so I have very expensive research. So it covers up both, like my salary and my and even if I'm traveling for conferences, if I'm traveling for talks and experiments, because I have done experiments all over Europe. So all those expenses, my food, my travel expenses, everything has been taken care of by my scholarship. So it's completely funded. So that's what I really tell people to focus on, to have a funded fellowship, because you shouldn't be bothered by issues like finance when you are doing a very complicated research. So don't jump into just because I like research, I wanted to do research, I come here and I get completely financially broke. That shouldn't be the approach. Germany pays really well for their PhD. Uh, Belgium too. Switzerland is the best place if you want to come for a PhD. They will pay you like twice or thrice amount of money than France. So I promote these countries and somehow to do a PhD because you'll get great people, great scientists, Nobel laureates uh, to to even have a standard discussion, and you can also have a good economic background.
Sure. So PhD is as good as like a job in some countries.
Exactly, exactly. I really think that when you decide to do a PhD, You are not sacrificing your life for science. You are choosing a path where you can deliver the science and also a better life for yourself. So you are not sacrificing anything.
Usually the PhDs are like 3 to 5 years, maybe 6 years at times. And from my knowledge, I think in European countries it's like 3 to 4 years probably. So what was that in your case?
So if you see Germany or Netherlands, it's mostly 4 years. If you go to Slovenia and other countries, it's also 4 years. They have a course. So it depends whether they have a course to begin with and then research or simultaneously. It's like India. In Germany, it's not like that, but Germany, they have too much money in research. So they don't care. They just like 4 years, 5 years, they can fund. For my case, it was very strict about 3 years because I have a fellowship for 3 years and I wanted to finish it by 3 years. It's completely fine. So that's one thing that Indian students should know, that you can finish a PhD in 3 years. I have two published papers, which are really long, and I am still writing few papers, uh, and that work has been done in my PhD. So it's like I will end up from around 5 to 6 papers from my PhD. So it's completely possible. You just supervisors are always focusing on your growth. That's what I really felt is amazing, and that's why it's possible. If you are on your own, and then it will be a bit difficult to finish in 3 years. But don't at all get discouraged by saying, "Oh, it's for 3 years," and probably 3 years is not sufficient. It's not the case. People will help you. You have multiple collaboration. You will learn the technique. You will have multiple papers, and you will learn a lot. So it's completely fine. For my case, it's 3 years. But my friends who are in different countries, even in Austria, is really good. Austria is really good for PhD. They have a good salary. They have a good work-life balance and all. I'm always emphasizing on this work-to-life balance for a PhD because if you open Instagram, you'll see jokes about PhD students having a bad mental health. It shouldn't be the case. It will decrease your efficiency. Go for a PhD, which gives you hope. That's my message.
Sure, sure. And how was your initial visa and flight accommodation journey? Like, how did you go through those visa process, then like booking the flight, booking the accommodation? How was those? Could you throw some light on that?
Yes. So this is very important. If you are planning for going abroad, do your passport first. I have seen people who haven't got the passport and they are applying for outside. In interview, they might ask in HR interviews that you have a passport or not. Just imagine if they had, oh, he doesn't have a passport. So like he's not confident enough to come here. So don't do it. Make a passport. That's my first advice. Second thing, um, I have done it when it was COVID, so it was way more difficult. But believe me, these HR teams outside abroad, they help you so much. Okay, it is just piece of cake. So visa, even they can wait for 6 months if you are going to get delayed, because they will just shift the funding for according to your time of coming. So don't panic. Okay, I have 3 months to complete everything. Even if it doesn't complete it in 3 months, you are okay, you are safe. They are not, they know that your career is in their hand, so they are not going to spoil it. So that's my message. uh, it can take time sometimes, but even if it is taking time, it's fine. So that's very important. You go through the visa. If you go to like, it depends in which country you are going. If it is France, you have to see how it come, how you, what are the procedures, what are the things you want. Probably one important thing that you might find is that you need a French translation of your birth certificate, and you can do it in any French embassy. Go to a French embassy, just give your like birth certificate, and they will translate it, because it will be important when you're coming to France. You will have your social security. That's again a brilliant thing. Your all medical expenses and everything will be covered by your social security. So you have a social security, and for your social security you need a French translated birth certificate. It's true for Germany and for, Austria too, but I am like I want to focus on France here because I have went through that procedure. So just try to translate, like you will go to a French embassy, just translate it, and you keep that document, even if it was not important during visa procedure. But whenever you will come here in France, you will need it. And then you have to think about the bank account, and French bank account will be important, or any country's bank account will be important because your salary will be credited here, there. So this sort of for these things also you need to carry your birth certificate, passport, visa, and all things. Make multiple xerox if you lose it so that you can get regaining. Your Indian embassy will be always there to help you. It's fine. It's nothing to get panicked of, and it's not going to stop you in your career, anyways.
What about the flight and the accommodation? How did you
Yes.
decide which one to take?
So I was very lucky because my supervisor is a brilliant person, like a great person. He helped me to find the accommodation. And not only that, I know a lot of my friends who are in Europe, everyone got help from their supervisors. So even they will send you some online websites to search. Okay. In France, there's called Science Equal, which helps the students to find or scientists to find accommodation. Also, there are multiple websites. Like in UK, there is Rightmove, Zoopla, and if you go to just online Google search how to find accommodation online in any country, also there your supervisors will be there to help you out on these things. Flights. If you wanted to come to Europe and if you are booking 2 months earlier, I think it's now 40,000. I'm talking about economic classes. 40,000 is one way, is fine. Most of the fellowship pays that thing back to you. So even the visa fees, like when you apply for visa, keep your receipts. When you will come here, probably your fellowship will cover that up. So that's good. But you will get your salary only after 1 month. So you have to stay here 1 month on your money. But then you will get your salary and it will be fine. So flight tickets mostly they will reimburse you. That's what happened with me.
And which flight you took during your very first time?
I think it was Air India. So I took from Kolkata to Delhi and from Delhi to Paris. So it was pretty easy. It's a direct flight of around 10 hours. So it's easy.
And how long does it take for you to reach from the airport to, let's say, your accommodation, your college
Uh,
area?
so Paris on this regard is quite good. You have a train line which connects everything. So I like to stay very near to my lab. So that's kind of my thing. Because I don't, in the morning, I want to get up and go to the lab straight away, like without any transport. So it was south of Paris where I stayed. It's called Orsay. And I just took a train from uh, the airport till my place where I was staying. And it was already fixed by my supervisor. So perfect. No worries about
Okay. And how was your initial few days, or rather few weeks of adjusting to the new environment, like cooking, cleaning, washing, maybe you have to do by yourself, and also maybe the class and the lab might not be as you would have seen in India, let's say. So how was those shocks
there are
handled?
multiple shocks. There are multiple shocks. So one of the biggest one and is the funniest one also is to call your supervisor by their name. No sir, no doctor, nothing. And I started with sir, and my supervisor Fabrice, he said, "Oh, why are you calling me sir? We are colleagues." So that's the first good shock, I would say. Like then we can really like he treated me like a colleague. I can go to him with my ideas straight away without any hesitations. Um, and that's one of the shocks. Yes, I was staying in hostels for long, so living alone was not a problem. But then I found a good community. My lab was really good. It was an international lab. I met a lot of people from different countries. It was a cultural mix, perfect for me. They accepted me, although it's better if you are coming to France, you can speak French. But in interview, they never asked me that. So it's just English, fine. We have a very nice long coffee sessions. That was quite cultural shock to me. And you don't need to always say, "Oh, I know it." So you can easily say, "Oh, I don't know it. I'm willing to learn." So that's best part of my PhD. That when I and then you can go with your own ideas and implement your ideas. So it's a nice growth curve. And and when I went there, it was COVID time, but I was an experimentalist, so I have this written letter from the authority that I can travel during COVID time, because my work includes that I have to go there in my office and lab to work. I cannot work from home, so I just got that letter from my lab, and I was sorted out. One more cultural shock was uh, that it was even with like how they promote me for a talk straight away, like within 1 month I had to give a talk and presentation. It was very informal, as we are chatting now. They want to know how much I know about my subject, what I want to do in my PhD, and also it's an overall grooming process rather than very hard core journey or something like that.
And how was your cooking, cleaning, and washing experience
Oh,
like?
yes, I'm a brilliant cook, by the way. So I really take pride on that. I don't know about my PhD, but I can cook. And cleaning was easy because they have most of the time they have dishwashers in these accommodations. Although I don't have, but I was trained by my mom, so it's fine. So it's not a problem. Living alone was not a problem. You will always make fair friends, and your social life would be good. So it's not like you have to work 7 days, 24 hours. And so it's fine.
So, what's your work time like? Do you have like 40 hours per week, something like that as
That
rule,
will
or?
be in your contract. That will be in your contract. No one will tell you to stay after 5 or 6, but you will stay after 5 or 6 because you know it's PhD. It's for your own interest. And if you are a passionate researcher, you can't leave an experiment just because it's 5. It's not a daily, day-to-day job. You want to see the next measurement. And so I used to go to the lab around 9, and then but there will be multiple breaks. So there'll be coffee break, lunch break. We used to go to lunch together with the whole group. I have a big group at that time. It's like 12 people's group. uh, and then I used to come around. It depends how much work I had in the lab. So it can be 5, 6, 7, 8, even some days when you are going for an experiment outside abroad. Um, in beamlines, like I have done a lot of experiment in PSI. It's Paul Scherrer Institute in Switzerland. So when you go there, you try to utilize most of your time because you get only beam time for short time in the year. So you want to utilize as much as you want. So probably I will work 15 hours, 16 hours straight, but it's on my for my own good interest, and I'm passionate about it. So it doesn't feel like you are doing some service. Rather, it's fun.
Sure. So, during your PhD, you had a few papers published, and you did all this lab work, and you finished like in three years, some months.
Exactly.
Uh, what was like is there like a completion guideline that you need to have so many papers published, or like so many hours of working, etc.? Like, what were the criteria that you had to check to get your PhD like sort of okay by the professor?
Yes. So this is again a different perspective about research from India and in these countries. They won't tell you you have to publish papers from right away. You know it in your back of your head, and they know it too. The focus will be on uh, learning the procedures, whether if it's experiment, analysis, writing papers, how to write a paper. That's also a technical question. So the first idea is that um, in France there are no amount of, like, there is no bar that you have to publish 2 or 3 papers to get your PhD, even if you don't publish anything. I know few brilliant scientists who haven't published anything in their PhD, but they are absolutely top class and they are in very good institute now doing great research. So it's about focusing on your work, on your problem, why you got hired. First of all, if you have great results, then you write, you analyze, you write. Of course, you need to writing, If you want to find a job in Europe, not a professor position, of course, if you wanted to go to a professor position, you need certain amount of publications. That's an important criteria. But after PhD, if you wanted to go R&D, or even in Europe, like in France, there are CNRS positions, which are like scientist positions, or postdocs, let's say postdocs. They'll be very happy to see your publications, but they'll be more happy to see that how competent you are on your techniques, on your knowledge, how much you have worked. So you need to have solid background, solid work on your own. How much collaboration you work, how much of a team player are you are. So this these sort of things are important too, alongside with the paper. In France, you have to do 90 hours of courses in your PhD apart from your research. These are distributed in three categories: 30 hours for very technical courses that it's on your PhD, like which will directly help you in your PhD. 30 hours on a general perspective, like it's not related to your field, but general physics like criterias. And 30 hours like how you teach, how you interact with public, outreach programs, how to give in a presentation. This sort of grooming takes 30 hours. So you have to do a course, you have to go to the classes, you have to take the classes, and you have to finish it like 90 hours. You have to finish it by 3 years. So it's up to you when you want to take it, first year, second year, third year, but you have to take it 90 hours. You can take more than that. There'll be multiple courses listed, so you can do more and more and more. If you wanted to do into computation, let's say, you take more computational courses, you can really prepare yourself beside your PhD for a computational job or IT job just during your PhD. You'll have proper certifications. So I took also French courses. That's again important. So you can take a language courses and it will be part of your 90 hours. So it's also serving you and you are also completing your PhD. So somehow it's same for Germany and other countries as
Sure, sure. Did you also do any TA, like teaching assistantships kind of thing?
well. In France, it is a bit difficult because if you are PhD, you can teach bachelor's. There are some international courses, but most of the courses are taught in French because in bachelor's. So I couldn't have. But what I have done is doing a lot of conference arranging, lab lab work, like um, how you interact with other people, outreach, rather, sort of stuff. One thing I really was very proud of during my PhD was that I was able to hold a conference uh, which was involving 4 doctoral schools from all the universities in Paris. So, so it was quite good. So you can do, even you can do teaching, but you have to, like, for the international teaching courses, the chances are a bit small in France. But but if you know French, it's fine. You can teach.
Sure, sure. And I see that now you're doing postdoc from University of Oxford. So when did you decide that you should also go for the postdoc? Was it after you finished the PhD or just before you were finishing? Please tell us a bit about that.
Yes. So ideal situation is that that you have to, before you started writing your thesis, you should know what you want to do next. If you are not clear, then write your thesis, then decide what you do want to do. Because writing thesis is a very hectic job. So I completely advise people that don't try to think about your career while writing your thesis, because you will all, like, when you are writing thesis, you are not in your right state of mind. That's my experience, and that's our, like, I have talked with a lot of friends, same experience. So I have started to think already when I was in my second year. I wrote few proposals with various researchers uh, from Canada, US, because I have selected some groups that I really wanted to work with. They're absolutely best professors. I was lucky enough to work with them during my PhD. Went to conferences, talked with them, so they know in which fields I'm working and all. So they also wanted to hire me. Sorry. So I already know that if I'm going to do my postdoc, I will do with these people and in these labs. This is my first preference. I was also interested in R&D jobs, like research and developmental jobs, but it will be a bargaining. So first you get the things, then you decide. So that's my way of going towards it. I applied and I got a few postdocs offered. Uh, Even like 5 to 6 months before my PhD completion. So here in Oxford, I got my PhD offer during April, and I finished my PhD in November. So they already hired me quite in advance. You get motivated for writing. Nicely, you write. You know where you are going next. So that was very clear for me where am I going even before completion of PhD. Fields you choose according to your interest. You don't know before you join a PhD. Your life will be changed. So it will be an oscillations. Few days you will be super motivated. Few days will be no motivation at all. Few days you'll be thinking why I'm doing research. But after all these experiences, you will be in a state where you know that what you want to do next. And what I wanted to do is that what am I doing right now in my PhD. So you should experience the PhD, then decide the postdoc. You cannot decide your postdoc when you are in your masters. It's absolutely not possible. So yes, then I came to my Oxford in December, and I am here, and I'll be here for long because it's a long ESPRC fellowship I got. Very exciting project that I'm working. No one has done it before. Again, a very exciting challenge. So it's going fine so far.
So you knew the professor beforehand, or you wrote to him and again gave interviews just like your PhD?
Yeah, so my professor, who um, like with whom I'm working now, is kind of a legend in magnetism. His name is Dr. Stephen Blundell, and I think any magnetism student who are in masters right now in India, they know him because he has a lot of books, thermodynamics, magnetism, and all. So I have read his book when I was in my master's, so I know him as a writer from my master's. Then I went to conferences to see his talk, and then he came up with this brilliant idea of what he wants to do. It was an advertised position again. So I applied to the advertised position just like my PhD. Then I have went through interviews and I got the position. I always wanted to work with him. Somehow he inspires me quite a lot. But yeah, so I just came to him, and that's how you decided. That's how I decide that I need to do this postdoc uh, for my career growth, because he, like, for my publication and my career growth it's good, and also the work wise it's good, and also the person wise he's brilliant, and that's very important also. So you should know, like, when you are interacting through your interviews, you should see how these people will react with you as well. So you are not, sorry for my language, you are not a labor. You are going to be a scientist. You are going to put your labor in somehow, but like not a free labor. They can't make you do whatever they want you to do. So you are going to be their colleague. You should be treated with respect. You should have a good mental health, and then only you will put maximum outcome, and then your labor will count. So
So did you meet your current professor in one of the conferences and you spoke to him that, I mean, did you do something like that also, like try to put something in his mind that, I'm applying for postdoc in your lab, could you just have a look?
um, so that one of the things that I will advise PhD students who are even doing PhD right now: go for the conferences, for apply for the talk, submit an abstract in conferences. Even if you don't get a talk, you will get a poster. And I prefer posters over talk, because talk, you have 10 to 15 minutes to show everything. In posters, you can discuss 2 hours with a person. If you find the right person, show him what you are capable of. They will get somehow attracted. Oh, this guy is my guy somehow. I met my supervisor during a conference called HFM. It's Highly Frustrated Magnetism Community conference. It was a really big conference, and I managed to present a poster because I was a first year PhD at that. So he knows me from my first year of my PhD. Okay, this guy is there working. Then my group was a very famous group. So I went to various conferences like all over the world, gave talks. So a lot of people knows me through my talks, like how I gave a talk, I gave a presentation. This is very important. So try to make good connections by going to conferences, giving talks, um, so that people know. And you should be a familiar face. You shouldn't be as a familiar face. That's it makes things easy. And then when I applied with my with the criterias, I was matching perfectly. So I got the interview. So it's not only because he knows me from before, but it's rather the criteria also. So you have to work hard also in your PhD. So have a good background. So you match the criterias, match the requirement of the job. You need to have enough sufficient skills. Focus on your computational skills as well, if you are an experimentalist. So that's that's how I got it.
So you are from Kolkata, then you studied in Karnataka for a while, then Paris, and then now Oxford. How
Yes.
do you see the lifestyle of these four places, major pros and cons,
Yeah.
let's say?
Yes. Uh, in Kolkata, of course, I have been. I've went to school there. I know Kolkata. I think quite well, and I love Bengali lifestyle. but but then I also like to travel. I like to see. So when I went to Karnataka, it was definitely different. Uh, but yeah, I used to stay in hostel. I have a great university life. I have great friends. So it was very easy. It is not a very steep change. I like the change actually. And from Karnataka, I went to Bhubaneswar in Niger for my master's thesis, where I stayed there for 6 months. And also, I went to uh, Bhubaneswar during my summer internship, and I stayed there quite a lot. So it's quite different again. Uh, but mostly, if you are in India, the changes are like subtle in academia at least. And then I came to Paris, and the changes becomes very different. You have to have an open mind. I won't say that you need to change, but you have to have an open mind, even so that people won't feel uncomfortable around you. That's important. I absolutely loved France. Okay, absolutely loved France. I've also visited various places during my PhD. I stayed there for a long time during my experiments. Um, so Paris is beautiful, as everyone knows. It has a very nice lifestyle, and it was fantastic. And then Europe has a different way of dealing with research and all. So researchers, even researchers. So somehow a big difference was like, okay, people are not always talking about their research and all. They sometimes like your discussions can be anything, like a life. And somehow I really enjoyed it. Um, how supervisors will interact with you. It will be completely different from India. So don't get discouraged completely. Oh, my supervisor doesn't give me time and all these things, and don't get discouraged. Uh, it's really good in Europe. And then I came here, yeah, UK, Oxford. Oxford is a bit cloudy, but I'm now used to it. It's again it has its own flavor, big institution, and in Oxford there are a lot of teaching available, so you can go to these fancy colleges, give teachings, and also I'm with in a very nice group. So it becomes very easy if you are going to a new place and you find a nice group. It just helps you to mix there. But there are different challenges every time you move to a new place. But the two things will be important. First of all, you should focus on why you came here there, why you went there, what you want to do. Don't get completely distracted by the changes. And second thing is, you should be okay, you shouldn't be too rigid with your boundary, like with your, you should be okay within yourself, but you cannot go on rigid with all others. Like, you should be open to other cultures somehow, and it will help you to reach a ground state there and enjoy the place and getting mixed with the society.
Sure, sure. So, okay, so we are coming to the end now, and I'll ask the
Lovely.
last question. What is like what could be your few pro tips for anyone who is your potential junior who is also thinking about PhD and postdoc in their like bachelor's or master's, maybe one or two professional tips for them?
Yeah, so I will say that if you really want to do research, it's not, first of all, if you wanted to become a professor or a scientist or an developer, whatever, you should not think that, oh, I like to. So first of all, you should know that whether you really want to do it or not, so that you don't regret your choices, because this field takes a lot from you. It takes your time, it takes your effort, it takes your energy. So you should be passionate about the thing, motivated about the thing, to give all these things to this field. First. Second, if you are planning to come abroad, just make some basic things ready before, like your passport, a motivation letter. You don't think that you like the best motivation letter on your first go. Try to write it even when you are in your master's second semester or something like that. Try to prepare a very professional CV. These things are very important. Try to prepare a very professional CV. Learn few important computational technique, Python, uh, Delphi, I don't know. Just learn some very good computational technique. It will help you, even if not in the interview, but later stage in your research. So these are the basic preparations that you should take. It's not about the dream, it's about how you approach the dream. And you should be ready with this sort of tools. When it comes, you can grab it. Uh, One last thing I would like to advise, that don't always think that whatever like, I work with magnetism. So magnetism is the like thing that I should only be interested in. Try to have an open mind, try to see what's going on around the world, what researchers, because you are a researcher, you're a scientist, so you can always adapt. So just have an open scientific mind. Your research is important, but others research are important too. Try to give respect to every research, and you will do fine in this field.
Okay, thank you, Dipranjan, for all your insights, and I hope we hope our juniors will be enlightened by all these experiences, and maybe some
Yeah,
of
it
them will
was
connect with you also.
okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay,
It was
thank you,
very
thank
nice
you,
talking with you, and I
thank you,
enjoyed.
thank you.
Okay. See you. Bye.